Hey folks, this is Kelani, and there are a bunch of interesting changes coming in Battle for Azeroth to a variety of systems. Some people might love some of the changes, while others will hate them entirely. Well, something has happened to world quests, which might cause another little divide, depending on how you want to look at things. World quests themselves can be a little controversial. People seem to enjoy them on one hand, especially compared to the daily quests we had during Mists of Pandaria, but then others seem to have a pretty big problem with world quests. They're lazy rehashes of leveling content, there's no effort put in, they don't count as content at all. Whatever you may feel, I think we can all agree that world quests were made significantly easier and more accessible thanks to a few add-ons which did all of the heavy lifting for us. Add-ons like World Quest Group Finder, or the various other add-ons which do the same thing, allow you to quickly create groups or join existing groups with specifically tailored titles and descriptions to make sure you're joining the right world quest group. It became a game of hop around in a group, kill whatever you need and hop out. It couldn't get much easier than that. You don't have to find a group yourself, you don't have to rely on friends or guildies to get your daily chores done, everything is nice and simple. Well, that might not be the case in Battle for Azeroth. Those add-ons are being broken in a few different ways, so let's see what's changing. Firstly, add-ons can't create groups anymore. This is a pretty big step up from what server hop was allowing us to do a few patches ago. Blizzard made a few changes to limit how add-ons can interact with the looking for group tool. They made it so add-ons couldn't automatically create, join, search for, or request invites to groups. Each of those actions required a confirmation from the player. Basically, you had to press another button. Well, in BFA, even if you press that extra button, you still can't create a group automatically. Thankfully, that's the only major part that's changed. You can still look for groups and join them, but if people can't create them as easily before, you might just not see as many groups active. So what's the problem here? Why can't we create groups automatically? Well, the main problem seems to be the title and description. You need a title to create a group, and add-ons are now prohibited from generating those titles for you. No title, no group. The weird thing is that right now you can't even paste text into the title or description box. So even if you wanted to type it out somewhere or copy it from a website, from chat, or anywhere else you might find an appropriate title for your world quest groups, you just can't paste it into the title or description text boxes. If you want to create a group, you're gonna have to type in the title all by yourself in the actual title window and just pray that the world quest you're trying to create a group for doesn't have a wonky name. Good luck trying to create or find a group for Andhanaway the Sacred, or whatever happens to be the name you're trying to type in. Apostrophes are going to be a lot of fun for this one. Creating the group isn't necessarily going to be the problem there, but if your add-ons aren't creating the groups for you, the titles could vary wildly, making the add-ons job of searching for appropriate groups quite a bit harder. So you can't create groups anymore, and while you can search for them, you have to rely on other players spelling everything correctly and using a title that your add-ons will actually be able to find at all. That's a whole bunch of potential human error being introduced into the system. You can still create some groups through the default UI, but only for specific elite world quests. Normal quests don't give you the option at all, and even some elite quests still won't play a game. I guess they have to be elite group quests to count for the easy group creation. Group quests require a group. Makes sense, but if they have this option available for some world quests, why not just have it for all world quests? In fact, why would the dev team make these changes at all? To make doing world quests harder? To make the content last longer? Well, let's have a look at their motivation for limiting add-ons in the past. As I mentioned previously, add-ons were limited from doing a whole bunch of group finder things automatically. You had to push that extra button to give the add-on confirmation. The reasoning behind these changes was apparently to help alleviate some realm performance issues. Add-ons like server hop were probably the main culprit of this, allowing players to hop between as many shards as they could find with ridiculous speed to aid in farming materials, special spawns, chests, or gathering nodes. It was incredibly lucrative for a good chunk of Legion. Using a single add-on, you could bypass limitations on spawns and spawn timers for almost anything you could think of. The main power of these add-ons didn't actually come from the add-on itself though. It actually came from world quests and add-ons related to grouping up for world quests. Imagine if you wanted to find a group with a leader on a different shard or server than yourself, what better place to look than the questing area? Hundreds of groups are created, filled, and delisted every hour just for world quests. You can hop in, get the shard transfer, grab your chest or mining node or kill your mobs, and hop onto the next group and shard, probably before they even finish the world quest. Not exactly the most honourable way to play the game, but again, it was incredibly lucrative. That's a lot of players hopping across a lot of shards very quickly. I can imagine how that might cause a few problems. Add to that the fact that anyone using the system as intended is also being transferred across shards every few minutes. All of that has got to add up to a lot of traffic, so they put a bit of a funnel on it, removing the ability to do everything automatically slowed down the entire process, which would give their systems a bit more time to get through everything. Maybe this is just a continuation of that train of thought. If you don't allow add-ons to create the groups, everything slows down to a snail's pace. You have to type in the title, which will take you a little bit of time depending on what title you're going for. Some of those titles might not even be found by the add-on searching for a group, so no one ends up hopping across that shard, and honestly I expect the amount of people to be using these add-ons in general to maybe fall quite a bit. If the convenience factor just isn't there anymore, does the add-on still do enough for people to want to use it? I guess we'll have to wait and see for that one. One thing that I find kind of hilarious while just thinking about it is that if you do make a group and type in your title all perfectly so the searching add-ons can find it, your groups are going to fill instantly. It's going to be like a Thanos snap. Create group, instantly full. If it's harder or more effort to create groups, people will hop on any groups they can find. There could be another reason for these changes too. Right now in the beta, you can happily join up for a pre-made group regardless of your, or their, war mode status. If you join a group who doesn't match your war mode choice, you have it on and they don't, for example, you still join the group, but you just can't see anyone. You can't transfer across that shard boundary using the pre-made group finder. So maybe part of this is to get you to write your own descriptions to encourage you to also include whether or not war mode is active in that group, just to save everybody some time. It's all fine and dandy giving them the benefit of the doubt sometimes, but honestly the add-ons could probably incorporate that into their own group creation and filter search results based on your current war mode, which would again be faster. Maybe that really is just the issue here. They want to slow down everything to do with the pre-made group finder. And this isn't the only problem world quests are facing next expansion. The world scaling right now is fairly even. Until you hit level 120, going from 119 to 120 seems to be a huge jump in power for everything except you. Gear rewards from quests aren't all that frequent, you barely get any pieces of Azerite armor as you level, and when you first hit 120 you're probably going to have a hard time killing more than a couple of mobs at the same time, depending on what class you're playing. You can forget trying to tackle some elite world quests on your own. Some of those beasties require a full group just to skate by, but if this is just a gearing issue, surely we should be able to just go pick up some more loot before trying to tackle the world quests, right? Well, world quests are typically to help you gear up for other forms of content. The item level scaling on world quest gear maxes out pretty quickly. If you're doing mythic dungeons, you just won't need world quest gear anymore unless it's something oddly specific. So you head into normal dungeons first, then you can move on to heroic dungeons if you want, which are going to be more rewarding more often when compared to world quests, and eventually you'll be able to just hop into mythic dungeons and ignore world quests completely. You can go back and finish up some world quests if you really want to in between, but if they're going to be harder to complete on your own and finding a group for the world quest is going to be harder or take longer, why not just run another dungeon? I feel like all of these variables stacked on top of each other actually devalue world quests quite significantly. On the flip side of things, players who either want to do world quests first or don't want to head into dungeons for whatever reason might end up getting stuck before they've even began. It's not really fun when you have to take things super slow because everything is suddenly way stronger than you at level 120. If the players who rely on world quests to start their gearing adventure get stuck on the world quests part, I doubt they'll continue playing for very long. Thankfully, gear isn't the only thing that comes from world quests. Hopefully players will still work together to complete the quests for resources, artifact power, gold, and the variety of other bits and bobs that can come from world quests. I'd hate to see a system die that encourages you to get out in the world and group up with a few fellow players, even if it is for a minute at a time and strictly for business. It's still fun to know there's other players out there who also need a helping hand now and then. Personally, I'm going to be having a blast running around with a full group of friends with War Mode on, tackling as many world quests as we can and snuffing out any alliance we come across. It can be a fun social feature if you put in a little bit of effort, but I understand a lot of players just want to get their chores done for the day. I hope everything works out so you can play how you want. Just be aware that you might have to do a bit of typing if you want to create a group, or wait a bit longer if you want to take the lazy route. But that's it for this video. What do you think of these add-on changes, and how much do you think they will affect world questing? Leave all your thoughts in the comments section below. A big thank you to all of our supporters over on Patreon. If you want to hop on that train, you can find a link in the description below. Remember to leave a like just below the video before you leave, and if you want to see more, make sure to subscribe. But apart from that, thanks for watching folks, good luck and have fun, and as always I will see you next time.